Welcome to the California Maverick, a channel fighting for a free and sane California. California Democrats and Gavin Newsom are constantly shrieking and having meltdowns over all the threats to our democracy, or constantly talking about how they're going to save our democracy. But what if I told you California has not just hundreds, not just thousands, not even hundreds of thousands, but millions of ineligible voters still on the rolls? We got a lot to go over, so let's get into it. Okay, so this gentleman, this young man, Shiloh Marks, popped up on my X feed, and he's doing some good work over here in California, reaching out to local counties and cities and the Secretary of State to try to clean up California's voter rolls. So federal law requires all states to remove ineligible voters. Furthermore, California state law requires that the state remove all inactive voters before a statewide election. However, when he recently reached out to San Bernardino, a city down here in Southern California, they refused to remove their ineligible voters. And he found, according to San Bernardino themselves in a letter, that they have 188,000 ineligible voters. And they won't remove them until after the 2026 general election, meaning the midterms. He also received a letter from a county in Southern California, San Luis Obispo, showing that it had 24,000 ineligible voters. In the 2024 election, Kamala won San Luis Obispo by 16,000 votes. And most recently, Sacramento County removed 56,000 ineligible or inactive voters from their rolls. Now that's just 3 counties spread across different areas and regions of California. San Bernardino, which is close to San Diego, San Luis Obispo, which is on the coast of Southern California, and Sacramento. But let's dive a little deeper, shall we? In 2022, when Gavin Newsom ran for governor, California had 4.9 million ineligible voters. And just recently, California removed 3.1 million ineligible voters, but it still has, as of August, 2.3 million inactive or ineligible voters. So these are a few counties, and 2 of them we just mentioned, San Bernardino, San Luis Obispo, Fresno, Alameda, that have violated the National Voter Registration Act for 90 days or more, not purging their ineligible or inactive voter rolls for 2 or more consecutive federal elections. That's over 8 years. And based on the numbers of San Bernardino, it just keeps growing and they don't remove them at all. And it seems like they keep on giving deadlines and continuing to move the goalpost. But why continue to have these inactive, ineligible voter rolls? In California, if you look at these congressional races in 2024, you have 7 congressional races decided by under 30,000 votes. California's 25th district, the margin of victory for the Democrat, Raul Ruiz, was just over 30,000, but the county has almost 600,000 ineligible or inactive voters. California's 45th district has over 800 inactive or ineligible voters, and the margin of victory was 653. And then you wonder why in 2024, California took over a month to count all the votes. And in the last week or two, all of a sudden, 2 or 3 Republican seats flipped to Democrat. I'm not insinuating anything, I'm not saying anything, but it's kind of curious to have almost 1 million inactive and eligible voters without removing them from the voter roll. And 800,000 is years of neglect. So here's my question. When Shiloh Marks reached out to the Secretary of State in California, who is responsible for the voter rolls and our statewide elections and federal elections, she responded by saying California consistently updates its voter rolls as mandated by the National Voter Registration Act. Well, if that were true, we wouldn't have over 2 million ineligible or inactive voters. We wouldn't have almost 200,000 ineligible voters in San Bernardino. We wouldn't have 24,000 in San Luis Obispo. We wouldn't have over 800,000 ineligible voters in certain counties. What I also find peculiar is that all of a sudden, Gavin Newsom and the Democrats are pushing hard for this redistricting. And I know what some people are going to say. It's because Texas, and if Texas didn't do it, we wouldn't do it. Except some recent information came out from Politico that several years ago, then Democratic National Committee Chair Jamie Harrison had approached Newsom with the idea of pausing the state's independent redistricting committee. So they've been planning on doing this for a very, very long time. Texas doing it gave Gavin Newsom and these Democrats the excuse to do it. California has been shifting rightward the last couple years, especially these last 4 years, specifically with the Latino vote. And this has been the plan all along. So they're banking heavily on the special election this November for Prop 50. And it's no wonder they don't want to clean up their voter rolls. They need to win this special election. They need Prop 50 to pass. And I find it ironic that these California Democrats, specifically Gavin Newsom, is going all around the country in all these podcasts and news stations talking about Republicans and President Trump are rigging the 2026 elections right in front of our faces. But yet here we are. And when San Bernardino says they're not going to purge their voter rolls until after the 2026 midterms, they haven't purged their voter rolls in over 8 years. What makes you think they're going to do it in 2026? They're not. And so you have millions of inactive and ineligible voters not being purged from the system. You have mass mail-in ballots being sent out all across the state. And to add insult to injury, you have mass illegal migration happening the last 20 to 40 years. And you're trying to tell me our elections aren't the slightest bit compromised? Not even a little bit? There isn't enough fraud to sway the election? It's hard to believe. Now, am I saying California will flip red or is actually a red state if we were to purge the voter rolls? I don't know. But what I will say is I think California is much closer than we are led to believe. I think California is way more competitive, especially in certain parts of Southern California and even, dare I say, the Bay Area, than we are led to believe. I think California may actually be more closer to a swing state than this Democrat stronghold that everyone just seems to give up on. But this is why voter ID is so important. California Assemblymember Carl DeMaio, starting in October, is collecting signatures to have voter ID on the ballot by 2026. Voter ID will eliminate mass mail-in ballots. Show up in person, present your ID. You are a legal citizen that is eligible to vote. And we need to go back to the old absentee ballot system that we had in place. That's the only way to solve this problem. I'll have the link to the voter ID ballot initiative pinned to the first comment below. If you like this video, leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.